YouTube, how's it going? This is Doug with Life is Shirty. A little under the weather today, but I finally have an opportunity to do a sales update. Haven't done one since October. I know it's been a while, but a lot happened over the holidays, and I'm just trying to get back into it. I have been thrifting a lot more, been gearing more towards the vintage t-shirt side of things, so I'll be talking to you about that some. But I've also pulled up about 20 or so items that I sold since the last time you saw me on YouTube. I'll go through and tell you why, and maybe some things will stick out for you for the next time you go thrifting. We'll just get right into it though. First of all is, like I said, I'm getting back into the vintage. I'm gearing more towards vintage. I've actually opened up a vintage Etsy shop for t-shirts, and it's called Vintage Tea Time. You'll see the link down below in the description for all my Vintage Tea Time social media and Etsy shop. There could be a YouTube channel coming in the future featuring featuring vintage items to educate, to show off, and to show you kind of what sells, how to identify vintage t-shirts and whatnot. But that's to be decided later. So I've got some big plans for that. Some other things in the works as well to try to push the vintage side of things. But right away I'll show you a vintage t-shirt that sold just today actually. Sold this morning. I've already packaged it up and shipped it out. I am home from work sick right now, so you might can hear it in my voice. I'm getting over some crud. But this is it's an 80s vintage t-shirt, and how can I tell it's from the 80s? The Screen Stars tag. This is one of the more common vintage tags you'll find. Screen Stars. You'll usually see them in the black. The black Screen Star tags are more common. I've seen some from the late 80s that have the black tags and on into the early to mid 90s. But the white tag, I've seen a couple in the early 90s that have the white tag, but most of them are from the 80s. And this just I've had this one for a while. It just says "No before you owe." No before you owe. I don't know. But it's a Dunn's Transmission Service t-shirt, so nothing special. But people love vintage t-shirts, and people loved this one enough to buy it for $14.99. Free shipping, and they got a cool t-shirt. Next is not vintage, but it's a shirt that most of you are probably familiar with, a brand. And if you're not familiar with it, then yeah, I would get familiar with it, because these aren't high dollar items, but they are very trendy and very popular, and they usually sell pretty quick. I've had this one up for a couple of months. It was new with tags. Brand new. I think these shirts are anywhere between $24 and $30. So I put this one up for $17.99 for free shipping, and it's sold full asking price. Next, dipping into the vintage again, and when I was trying a turf backdrop for my layouts. Tour de France 1998, but the thing about this shirt is it has a 1994 copyright date on it. It was advertising the next Tour de France, oh my goodness, World Cup, Soccer World Cup, that was in France in 1998. So this one finally sold $24.99. It says free shipping, but for some reason I had international shipping on this one, so the buyer actually paid around $21 in shipping to ship this to Germany. So I got $24.99 plus they paid the shipping for Germany. It was free U.S. shipping. So good sell there for a vintage t-shirt that I probably paid $1 or $2 for. Next, this is a Polo Sport t-shirt. The Polo Sport, and this is actually featuring the way I'm doing my pictures now. I have a new picture area and layout that I can do a video on later if you guys would like to see what I did. It's a cool little backdrop, and I made my own light boxes. But this is Polo Sport from the 90s. How can I tell it's from the 90s? The tag. So you can always identify the era that a shirt was made by its tag. And this Polo Sport tag represents the mid to late 90s. actually like, you know, 93, 94, up to about 96 or 7. And it was pretty unique, this shirt was, because it had some reverse stitching on it. It looked like it came from the inside to the out. So I had it up for $29.99, and the buyer messaged me and asked me if I would take $22.99, and he would still pay the shipping. So I accepted it, sent him the offer, and it sold for $22.99 plus $3.99 shipping. Next, I don't buy every Pendleton, but when I have a 100% wool Pendleton plaid board shirt, this is called a board shirt, you can go to their website and check out the different board shirts they have. This is a newer one, probably in the last 5 years. I didn't even have this particular shirt listed for 10 minutes before it sold. I put it up for $32.99 plus $4.50 shipping. It'll go first class. It went for about 15 ounces, I believe, first class. So I paid about $4.20 shipping. So I don't try to gouge people on shipping. I see a lot of people doing that, but I charge really close to what it actually costs. So this sold very quick. Excellent sale. I think I paid $4 for the shirt. Next, this was a very cool find. I found this in the Goodwill bins, the outlet bins, where you pay by the pound for your items, for your clothing. This was a very small t-shirt. It was from the 60s. How can I tell it's from the 60s? Let's go back to the tag. I researched the tag. This is a 1960s Russell Southern Company, which was later bought by Russell Athletics, among other things. It transitioned from many companies from this one. But in the 60s, it was Russell Southern Company. I saw they were selling for around 60 bucks. So I put this one up for $74.99 free shipping. I had a buyer from California message me and asked if they would take a $50 offer. I paid about 75, 80 cents for the t-shirt. Why not? Quick sale. It was up for about 2 weeks. I got $50. I don't know why it shows sold for $74.99 here, but I actually sold it for $50. Free. I did expedited shipping. I put it in a padded flat rate mailer for them at their request, which cost me $6.50 to ship. So $50 plus $6.50 to ship. Still an excellent turn on an 80-cent shirt. So know your tags when we're talking about vintage. And there you see it. It was like a cream color with black sleeves. Very awesome sale. Next, John Coltrane. I saw this shirt. This is also a bin find, so I paid under $1 for it. And you know, a good place, if you go to the bins, if you go to the Goodwill outlet bins, and if you're looking for vintage t-shirts, I have found a great deal of vintage t-shirts. When they pull out the bins with the ceramic and the coffee mugs and plates, people have wrapped the coffee mugs and the plates and stuff in old t-shirts with rubber bands. I immediately take all those off and I look at the t-shirt, and I find a good deal of vintage t-shirts that way. Old t-shirts that they think nobody wants anymore. Old worn t-shirts, and that's how people like them. They like them worn and loose and faded. There's a big market out for just that. So with this particular shirt, it was from 1990. It was kind of faded, kind of worn. And again, this is the new way I'm taking my pictures. And if you're interested in how I do this, again, just put down in the comments that you'd like to see my setup, and I'll show you. It's pretty crammed. I don't have a lot of room here in my house, to be honest with you, but I've done the best with the room that I've been given. You can see one of my umbrellas here. Got an umbrella there, a couple of light boxes, and a backdrop. Anyway, I've already mentioned that twice, I'm sorry. So this was a cool shirt, even had a little stain on it. Actually, it had a little hole. It looks like somebody had tried to patch. If you look from the inside, somebody had put some material there and patched that hole. So I disclosed everything that was wrong with it, which wasn't a lot. And it sold for full asking, $24.99 plus $4.25 shipping. So paid under $1 for this shirt. Great turnover. Next, I have a honey hole that I don't think a lot of pickers go to, but that's fine. The place I'm talking about, their home office is in Buffalo, New York, and I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, so a lot of times you'll see hockey stuff from the East Coast in this store. And let's be honest, this particular store is not in the greatest part of town. Not a lot of people are looking for hockey stuff that go in that store. They're just not. So I'll go in and I'll find some vintage hockey stuff. I have several Buffalo Sabres items in my store where I normally wouldn't find in the South if their home office wasn't shipping them overstock. So it works out for me because I'm a reseller. And I found this Buffalo Sabres 90s starter jersey. I think I paid $5 for it, but I got $39.99 plus $6.50 shipping, full asking price for it. So great turnaround there. And I've talked to the manager there, and he's going to start putting out more stuff that they normally wouldn't put out for me, and I'm going to go 2 or 3 times a week and see if I can get lucky there. I've also got another hookup with that store too. If I spend more than $50, there's one cashier, he said, if you donate $8 to our cause, I'll go in and mark all your items 50% off. Sounds like a deal to me. So I'm going to be going there a lot more to see if I can find some good stuff. Next is an item from a brand called Flax. I was introduced to this brand from my girlfriend, who finds it a lot in the women's section. And I found probably 5 or 6 men's Flax shirts one day on half-off day at Salvation Army. And I've sold every one of them, 4 of them, to the same person who came back like once a week and bought the shirts, but for $30 a pop plus shipping. So look out for Flax. They're linen shirts. They're kind of loose. They look worn. But these have done really well for me. I sold 6 of them at $30 a pop, and I think I got them for $3 a piece on a half-off day. Next, just to show you, vintage Tommy Hilfiger is definitely in. So if you're not picking old vintage Hilfiger, especially crew necks and t-shirts, the polos, they work, but only really if it's got the long stripe, different colors. If you grew up in the 90s and went to high school in the 90s like me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They had the long stripes, the vertical stripes. They were always different colors and had the Tommy Hilfiger logo. Those do really well, along with any crew neck from the 90s. How do you know it's from the 90s? Well, you get the gaudy Tommy Hilfiger tag. And this one actually may have been a bootleg. I'm not 100% sure that this one was authentic. The tag was not as thick and as durable as most of the Tommy tags are. It was kind of flimsy, but you know, there was nothing specific that said it was a bootleg, and there was nothing specific that said it was authentic. So I just listed as Tommy Hilfiger, and I've already gotten positive feedback for this. So I think I paid $3 for it, and I sold it for $30. Plus $6.10 shipping. This is all before they raised the rate, so it was still $6.10 shipping and a padded flat rate mailer. So good turnover there. Next is a very popular and trendy brand that if you're not familiar with, go ahead and get familiar with this. Southern Marsh. I put Alabama Crimson Tide on it because the duck that's Bear Bryant's hat color, and this is a very southern brand, very popular in the South. So I put that there. I didn't see anything wrong with it, with putting that there, even though it had nothing specific to do with Alabama. I mean, I'm a big football SEC fan, so that made me think of Alabama. So I went ahead and put that, and I guess they were fine with it. And the reason I put this one here, though, is there are a lot of brands out there that are really trendy, no matter what the condition is. And Southern Marsh is one of those brands that no matter what the condition, the shirt, people want it. And so this one had some stitching come loose on the pocket, on the front pocket. You see it has a front pocket here. The stitching had come loose on it. I put this up for $9.99 opening bid, and was pretty much letting the buyer tell me what it's worth. And it got bid up to $20.50, so I was pretty happy with that. So Southern Marsh is a very trendy brand, and even if it's got a little stain or two, a little hole somewhere, go ahead and pick it because people want it. This is a fun sale. This one took a long time to sell, but I found this for $1 on a half-off day at Salvation Army about a year ago, and it finally sold for $79.99. So I wish I could find more of these, but these are very few and far between. This is from their Japan tour in 1983. It is authentic. It's a t-shirt brand called Mackler. The tag is really worn on this one, but if you search Mackler brand t-shirts, you'll see a bunch of these tags, and they were very popular in the 80s. Had some pit stains on it. I disclosed those. Very cool Culture Club t-shirt, and a very good outcome. Shipped for $79.99 plus free shipping. So these are not things you find very often in a thrift store, but I thought it was just a cool show and tell. Next, Tommy Bahama. I have really gone light on picking Tommy Bahama, just because there's an influx. There's too many people selling Tommy Bahama on eBay. Yes, it's a good brand. Yes, it will sell, but yes, you might keep a couple items in your store for a year, year and a half, 2 years to try to sell it. So I'm showing you this because this is one of those times where it's time to buy Tommy Bahama. When you have a very nice shirt with no defects, with very bright and vibrant colors, and anything extra large or higher. This is a big man shirt. Tommy Bahama is. It really is. They smoke their cigars. They wear their big loose shirts. So 2XL was a no-brainer, especially the bright and vibrant colors as you see on this one. This one sold in about 4 or 5 days for me, if that long. I don't remember exactly, but I got full asking price, $32.99 plus $3.99 shipping. So, and I think I may have paid $3 for this shirt on a half-off day, depending on where I got it. I can't remember. I wouldn't have paid more than $5 for it though, but still a good turnaround. You know, good sale. Next, I'm showing you this brand just because it's a very trendy brand right now. It's called the Hustle Gang, and there you can see the tag, Hustle Gang of America. They have a lot of different t-shirts. Again, this is not big money at all, but they sell between $14.99, $16, $17.99, maybe even $20, include free shipping. I sold this within like 3 days, I think, of listing it. So great sale, great quick turnaround, especially if you can pick them up for $1, which I did for this one. I picked it up for $1. Next, you've heard me in past videos talk about blank vintage t-shirts. So this is a 1990s Russell Athletic 1990s XL blank t-shirt with a pocket. Navy blue, great condition, a little faded, but you know the vintage market does not mind fading at all. Sorry I had to pause there for a second, I had a cough, still getting over this cold. I appreciate you hanging in there with me, hearing my crappy voice. But back to this, yes, if you could pick up blank vintage t-shirts, then Russell Athletics is one of those. It'll sell for $19.99 plus $3.99 shipping. I have several Russell Athletics blanks along with jerseys, Jerzees. There's a lot of blank t-shirt from jerseys out there. Screen Stars, Fruit of the Loom, Hanes. You'll find them all from the 90s, from the 80s. Pick them up because people love that loose feel. They love loose blank t-shirts, but also people will buy these vintage blank t-shirts and they'll buy vintage iron-on transfers like from the 70s and 80s, and they'll make their own t-shirts. They'll do their own iron-ons. So there's a big market in that. So they're looking for these old t-shirts. Sticking with the blank category, this is the brand jerseys I just told you about and spelled out to you. Blank crew necks, blank vintage crew neck sale, and this sold for $24.99 plus $6.10 shipping. Again, this was before the price hike that eBay and USPS did. So it sold for full asking $24.99 plus $6.10 shipping. So, like I said, learn your vintage tags, and you can find these blank. And a lot of times the thrift stores will have these in their store for like, you know, dirt cheap because they're blank. They have nothing on them. So you can get them for real cheap, and you can turn them over for prices like this. Next is Affliction. So a lot of you know the brand Affliction, but if you don't know about it, look out for Affliction shirts, Affliction jeans. I have noticed that men's Affliction shirts do better than women's. So I have bought recently my last women's Affliction shirt. It went on auction for like a little over $1. And I've done auctions for men's Affliction shirts that have gone for in the $20 to $30 range. And this one was a buy it now for $21.99. I think I bought the shirt for $1 or $2. So great turnover there. Next is a little show and tell. These are not really shirts you'll find in the thrift store very often, or at all really. I mean, these shirts are very rare in the thrift stores. Let me just say that. So if you watched one of my previous videos, I forget which one, but I talked about a friend of ours that had boxes of vintage t-shirts in his attic, and he wanted me to sell them on eBay for him. So this is just kind of a show and tell of a couple of those shirts that sold. So this is a 1970s Billy Joel concert t-shirt from 1978. And the brand was Fantasy Tees. So now, although this shirt is kind of rare, I have seen this Fantasy Tees tag before in the thrift store, just on, you know, different types of t-shirts. So look out for that tag. So $129 plus free shipping. 70% goes to my friend, and I'm keeping 30 for putting in the legwork for. And of course that's after fees, after shipping cost. Then I do a 70-30 split, and he hands me the shirts, and I wash them and I list them, and it's free money. Well, not free money, I do work for it, but I get 30% of it. So that was a great sale there, very fun sale. I love things like this. And next is another one of his shirts. Bob Seger Silver Bullet Tour, Silver Bullet Band Tour t-shirt from 1978. The price is $125 on this, but I think I accepted a best offer of around $80 for this one, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, because it doesn't show me what it actually sold for some reason, but it did not sell for $125. But so $80 after fees and shipping, split 70-30. Just another fun t-shirt. And I'll show you another vintage tag that I see a lot. Not a lot, but I have picked shirts with this tag at thrift stores before, regardless of what it has on it. That just means it's from the 70s. This is a 70s tag, sportswear. So great sale there, and you know, pay attention to that tag right there, because you can pull a 70s shirt regardless of what it has on it and sell it for at least $20, $25. Next, Woolrich is another brand that I've quit really picking, just because there's a lot of it out there. And so Woolrich is, I've put this on my list to pick if it's vintage and if it's unique. So what do we have here? Vintage Woolrich from the 80s, and it's unique. It's got the mallard ducks on the front. It's got the different colors. Very fall-like, very seasonal. And I sold this probably a month and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It doesn't have the sale date. But anyway, Monday, February 20th, whatever. I don't know what that date's for. Anyway, this sold about a month and a half ago for $32.99 plus $6.10 shipping. Full asking price. So this is when I'm pulling out the Woolrich card, when I'm picking Woolrich, vintage and unique. Or it doesn't even have to be vintage. If it's unique, I'll pick it. But there was a time where I was grabbing anything Woolrich because it's a popular brand that has a following, but it's not trendy, but it does have a solid following of people who like to buy Woolrich. So they go online and they look for it. So you may sell Woolrich a lot, but for me personally, I'm picking unique, I'm picking vintage Woolrich, and this worked out. And the last shirt, showing you, I should have gone out with a better one than this, but if you've looked at any of my videos in the past, you've seen me don't shy away from golf shirts that have company names on them, and this is one of those. So this was new with tags though. The only different thing about it is it had my Memphis here on it, but it didn't matter. This shirt sold within about 5 days. It's a black Coca-Cola, Coke Zero. Now we do have a Coca-Cola plant here in Memphis, so maybe that's why it says my Memphis on it. So and that's maybe why I found it in the thrift store new with tags, because there was a Coke plant that shut down, and they might have had a bunch of these shirts left over, and they may have donated them. I don't know, but anyway, don't shy away if it has company names. I wouldn't get like a company name of like Kenny Shoes or something like that, something small and probably very, you know, locally owned, very small company. But if you're in the thrift store and you find something like Coke or FedEx or Terminex or I don't know, anything, you know, like Valvoline. I found Valvoline before. Like Nike Golf, Under Armour, Adidas, any of those with big name companies on them, grab them because they're good sellers. So I got this for like the thrift store I was at. They always put golf shirts with company names on them to the side because they think nobody wants them, and they put a special price on them. And then they have half off days. I think I got this for like $1 or $2. And it sold for $25.99 plus the buyer paid shipping. So don't shy away from those. Anyway, so I did a little bit longer video today. I showed you about 20 items that have sold for me since the last time I've done a sales update video. I got a new laptop. I got a work laptop that I'm using. So and I just installed my software and got my webcam going. So maybe I'll be more eager to come do these sales update videos for you like once every 2 weeks or so, because I do enjoy doing them. I enjoy the feedback. I enjoy the comments. I really appreciate it. To all the returning viewers, I appreciate it. I've had people keep subscribing even though I haven't been very active lately, so I appreciate all my new subscribers. Coming up for me, you heard me mention Vintage Tea Time. I am now active on Instagram at Life is Shirty and at Vintage Tea Time. I have Twitter accounts for at Life is Shirty and at Vintage Tea Time, and I have Facebook pages for at Life is Shirty and at Vintage Tea Time. So Vintage Tea Time is just pushing vintage items, mainly vintage t-shirts. I've opened up an Etsy shop for it. I've made 2 sales on Etsy so far. I've had the shop open for a little over a month, so it's kind of slow. I've only got about 60 items in it, but that's what's coming up for me. Or not coming up, that's what's going on and what I'm hoping to grow. So all my social media info is down below in the description. Go ahead, and I'm most active on Instagram, so go ahead and follow me on Instagram. You know, see what I'm doing there. If you want to chat about vintage, about reselling, I'm always, you know, I've had several people reach out to me, and a shout out to you guys that have reached out to me on my social media outlets. I really enjoy talking to you. The only other big thing coming up for me with Vintage Tea Time is I'm going to be starting a Vintage Tea Time group. It's going to be a group where you can go and discuss vintage. You can do a vintage show and tell. You can get help identifying tags. I'm going to have photo albums in this group that will be labeled by brand name, so you can go in and try to identify a tag you might have. And I'm going to need help uploading, you know, pictures of tags to all these albums. I've been working on it for about a couple of months. I got a lot of tags uploaded, and I will be opening it up to the public probably in the spring sometime. And I'll make an announcement here so you guys can come join the group, and let's get talking about some vintage, and well, maybe resell some vintage or whatever you want to do. You know, all the rules of the group and the purposes for the group have not been all determined quite yet, but its main goal will be to talk about, discuss, learn, and educate on vintage t-shirts. And I think it's going to be great. So that's all I've got for you today. So if you like the video, click that like button for me. And if you got any comments on any of the things you saw today or any questions, go ahead and comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about some of the items you saw, and maybe you've had the same experience with some of the items. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope to be putting up more content for you guys in the near future. So thanks for tuning in. I'm glad to be back. I'm getting a little sick. I mean, I'm getting over being sick, but I hope to get better and start doing some more YouTube videos for you. So everybody take care and have a great Wednesday.